His full power Kisame, so we did power scale, and then they asked, where does he stand to you as far as scaling? Do you guys want to start with that one?
I'll say I think the thing with Kisame is that when we know he says things like, "Oh, like we Jiraiya, we better get out of here." Here's what I think. I think either like it was a retcon, which we know like Kishimoto. For me, I feel like there are several like things where it's like Kishimoto built certain people up to be a certain level, and then he ended up changing his mind later on throughout the series. I think he did this with like Minato. I think
Oh,
Minato is like meant to be like the strongest Hokage, and then he like changed his mind and then made it Hashirama type shit. And I think he kind of did the same thing with like Hisame and Itachi. He didn't plan on making them as strong, or he
Hell
didn't plan on
Hirogen,
making
right?
Kisame as strong
Mm-hmm.
as he did in Shippuden, because it's like obvious. It's like, bro, like Kisame without his sword, it's like he still lost, but he was still like able to like hang just a little bit with 7K guy. Like it's just like Jiraiya is just not at that level. So it's just he cannot even like Kisame is just shows feats that are like way more superior to Jiraiya, whereas like Kisame is like hunting tail beasts for fun, like he's enjoying it. He's not he like really like destroyed Killer Bee. He only lost because Samehadi switched up on him and the Raikage arrived. But other than that, like Kisame was like he was like bullying Killer Bee, bro. Like Killer Bee like couldn't really do anything. He was just getting all of his chakra absorbed. Whereas with Jiraiya, it's like he's like struggling to contain a kid for tail Naruto. It's like he just doesn't scale to that. He doesn't scale to the tail beast. He doesn't scale to the Susano. So I think it was either a retcon, or if you want to say that it was like if you want to say that it was like a if you want to say that it was like that it wasn't a retcon, I think you could say you could chop it up to like Isami, like respecting like people's like reputation and shit. And because Itachi was a spy, he just like reinforced it so that he didn't have to fight Jiraiya. But that's my take on
right.
the shit.
Yeah. What do you guys say about that?
Oh, you want to
Unless
go
you want me
first,
to
Pimpin,
go.
or it's up to you guys, yeah.
I mean, I'll just touch up real quick on what he just said.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think obviously, like we were discussing earlier with Kisame, seemingly being under in superiority to Jiraiya during part one, because mostly due to Itachi. I think that's why
Yeah.
people like seem to nitpick his like power scaling in general. But I think another like key aspect is Kisame's main opponent throughout the whole series was Guy, and he's as we all know is a master taijutsu aficionado, if you will.
Yeah.
And it was the complete counterpart to like Kisame's normal
But
battles, like
It's like
so
kryptonite, you know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
literally
you
like
could
Yeah, he
say
Superman's
was.
quite
kryptonite,
literally.
basically.
yeah, it's his kryptonite. So it's like people they see him get his ass kicked because like he is not used to this, bro. He's an anomaly fighting against someone like Guy. So it's like that's why I think people have contention power scaling him. But I mean, as we all know, he's a tail beast, with an insane amount of chakra. Samehada is almost a sentient sword as well. So I mean, we can safely deduce that he's a really high Koski member, but due to his feats against someone who's as kryptonite as Batman said, it just makes it contentious and weird to some folks, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like
Yeah. And
it's
then
that's
yeah,
go
go
ahead, go
ahead.
ahead. No, you're fine, Jake. Go ahead.
Oh, oh yeah. I was just gonna say it's crazy because if you look at like if you rewatch the fight with him and Guy, his shark like was big enough to swallow the hero door. The only reason why it didn't even
Same size, yeah.
the only reason yeah, like the only reason why it didn't work is because it wasn't chakra. Like it was taijutsu. Like
Air pressure.
it literally was just the perfect counter. Like
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then what's crazy about that is, when we basically really analyze that further, obviously the ninja swordsmen, they're immediately at 50% of their power whenever they don't have their sword and stuff. So like you're dealing with a Kasame that's at 50% power. He did absorb a little bit of chakra from some fodder shinobi and whatnot, but regardless, like he just got beat up by KCM Naruto. Then he goes out, fighting, takes some chakra,
yeah,
doesn't have his sword or whatever because Samahada's being a dick to him, and he's like wants to stay with Killer Bee. So like he leaves, and then basically is trying to get his scroll to leave and everything. And while trying to get the scroll to the Akatsuki for intel, he's dealing with Guy who's basically at full fucking power, and it's kind of going at him, giving they're fighting whatever. They go to 7th gate, and he does like the Hiradori, he does his move, and then from there the fight ends and whatnot. So like it's just the way Kasami is kind of like portrayed throughout the story of Naruto. Like it gives him a bad rep, but when you really look at the character, it's just not at all. Like like when he first starts off, like he's a 30% chakra clone with that jutsu Nagato utilizes, and like the whole Akatsuki, they even say, oh, he has the most chakra, and if we obviously refer to chakra can equate to your power. You know what I mean? It's seen with Tail Beast, you name it, etc. It's stated multiple times by Kakashi and Kabuto. That if Naruto is to get really good chakra control, he would be a monster. Because of how much chakra he has, you name it. So like that's one aspect of Kasame that's pretty big deal. The more chakra you have, the more better and stronger you can be as a person. And obviously, with him being the Akatsuki, you name it, he's not going to have shit chakra control. He's going to have pretty, decent chakra control, you name it. So that's going to be a factor that will, be perfect. And he's going to do his thing. And, as a 30% clone, he's over here brawling with Neji, fucking Lee, Guy, like some insane taijutsu specialists, you know what I mean? Like, that have access to all these things, immediately deals with them with the water prison, fighting Guy, going at it, and then takes from Guy to go to 6th gate to deal with him. Things like that. So that was really impressive. Then you have the point where, like, where it's stated by Sasuke, like, oh, Kasame, Sugetsu, you can't even beat Kasame yet, like, just stop. Like, stop fucking with him. You know what I mean? Because he's always trying to fight him and shit. Like, there's just so much out there where, like, Kasame's no joke, and his skill is pretty fucking high. And we really get to see the peak of his power when he fights against Killer Bee. That's where we really got, like, the cherry on the top, Because if that never happened, oh my god, we would have so many problems with his scaling. People would just be probably shitting on him or downplaying him all the time.
Yeah, Kisame. So as far as the statement where he seemingly admits inferiority, there's two trains of thought. There is a possible retcon because Hiruzen was almost definitively retcon from part 1 to Shippuden. He was like implied to be the strongest Hokage. By the war arc, he seems like he's in the little leagues compared to Hashirama and Tobirama and even Minato. Not Tobirama, but Hashirama and Minato. Oh, the other train of thought would be, the reason he seemed to believe that was because Itachi reinforced the notion that he was inferior just to avoid fighting Jiraiya, because secretly he was undercover, so that kind of eliminates that anyway, even if you assume it's not retconned. As far as scaling, the best you could do for Kisame is give a range. So Kisame, with only a 30% chakra clone, was able to compete with Team Guy until Six Gates Guy came around to deal with him. But a full power Kisame was able to thoroughly defeat Killer Bee. Even in his V2 version, he was still able to blitz him, specifically in the Water Dome, which I would probably say enhances his speed.
Oh yeah.
So
the
like best production, I would say, as far as where he scales, as far as the range is concerned, would probably be somewhere in between the range of the Raikage, as the Raikage is implied to be relative but superior to Killer Bee. So he'd be in between the Raikage or Nagato. Nagato folded KCM1 Naruto. Naruto blitzed Kisame, so he's below Nagato, around Raikage and below Nagato. That's the best range you could give for him. It's kind of hard to exactly quantify where he'd be at exactly because of the lack of feats, but he'd be somewhere in between the Raikage's level and Nagato's level, probably closer to the Raikage's level.
I feel like that's 100% accurate.
Be around that level.
Yeah, if he has Samahata and he's at 400%, I could definitely picture that and see him.
Yeah.
It's hard to scale him to 7 Gates guy because he was fatigued and he didn't have Samahata. So I can't go out and just
and that's what's wild, Jay, because like when Naruto's able to sense him, because nobody could sense him when he was in Samahata the whole time. He gets out, Naruto like speed blitzes, punches him in his back, and he coughs up like a shit of blood. But the guy didn't even get one shot. Like he didn't get knocked out, nothing. Like he just gets decked in the back by Naruto and KCM, and then just shrugs it off and runs, and then starts shitting on everybody. And then guys like, all right, I'll take this guy because Naruto like overexerted himself and got stuck in the rock or twisted his ankle.
Absolutely, yeah.
Someone said Kisame reacted to and blocked Cloak B. That's true. He said he's really strong and I think he could beat Pain. No, he can't.
Yeah.
Nagato followed KCM1 Naruto. KCM1 Naruto blitzed Kisame.
He reacted to V2 and to V1B.
He's not beating Pain, that's for sure.
No.
Someone said, and then they said Tobirama over Minato. No,
yeah,
that's not
Pain kind of.
No, absolutely not.
Like absorbed
Tobirama lost to Kikugu. Minato is faster than Tobirama. Tobirama states it verbatim that he's superior in speed to himself, and he doesn't beat Minato. It's not going to happen. So
Shit, I'm
Yeah, I mean,
I'm be
Tobirama's
honest
done
with
his
you.
part
If you guys
himself.
think this is like a little highball or not, I believe it's even fair to say that Kasame could be able to even like fight against like someone like Tobirama. You know what I mean? Them having like a water style battle and shit like that. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah,
So
it's theoretically
I
possible.
think
It's hard.
Tobirama beats Kisame though,
It's hard to
but
scale
it would
those
be an
two.
interesting fight.
mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
is hard
First
to
of all,
scale Tobirama.
it's hard to scale. It's hard to scale Tobirama in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah, it's really hard to scale.
Yeah,
That's
it's
why.
really
That's
hard
why I
to talk
don't
about
touch.
spin-off series, man. Low
I
key.
don't touch versus battles with Togurama in it just because there's so many inconsistencies with their scaling. Like,
Like,
you
bro,
know what I'm saying?
Tobirama's
Like,
Like
garbage
with
scaling.
Jubito.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
We
just
can't
it's
use the
so
Jubito feed because
confusing.
Jubito's fluctuating the whole
Always
time, so it's never
fluctuating.
stable.
Unstable. Yeah.
And
It's
mental
confusing.
And then
capacity.
Madara
Yeah.
says you were the fastest of our time. That gives us something to go off of, but
But then
compared
it's like
I'm saying,
comparing to Kisame, it's tough. He lost to Kikuku and Ginkuku despite being the fastest of his time. That just seems
that's what I'm
Twice,
saying.
though,
Like, it's so
too.
many.
That's
It's
twice.
confusing because it's like
it is.
you
Yeah.
would think he'd be stronger than that, but then he
Yeah.
loses to Kikiku and Gigaku, and I'm like,
Well,
how?
Yeah,
what I
and the
think it is
Raikage-
That's
though.
an
the Raikage-
anti-feed, bro. Because
The
we saw
Raikage
them.
praises Minato as like the best shinobi he's ever seen, yet
Yeah,
he doesn't think as
everybody.
highly of Kinkaku. Yet he doesn't think of highly of Ginkaku and Ginkaku. Yet he's aware of them, so
He's
that
very
also
aware
allows
of
us
them.
to scale Minato
Absolutely.
above Tobirama.
Yeah, and
Of course,
Raikage has all
Kisame-
the knowledge. Yeah, you know, like of like you know his previous predecessors. You know, they were clearly aware of Tobirama, so that would just further support. You know.
The best we could do is give a rational argument. There isn't much empirically. Rationally, I would lean towards Tobirama because of his lore, his position. But
Same,
again, that's
yeah.
not enough to concretely say he beats Kisame. But I think rationally,
I think
I
he's
would
just
lean
like
towards Tobirama.
To imagine
I
they're
mean,
doing
I think
water
it's
style,
up to
Jay,
like,
like
and
putting the sword away though.
imagine if they're doing water
it's
style,
like-
like Tobirama just starts filling them out, and then fucking like obviously he's absorbing it and getting stronger and shit, and then Tobirama's
I
like,
would
what
Yeah,
the
it's
fuck?
hard to quantify how much chakra Kisame can even absorb. You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
and then
It's-
like what Batman was saying, you know, chakra does equate to more power, but what's more important is how efficiently you can utilize that chakra. You know.
Yeah.
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 See, all right, Jay. I guess we'll move on to the next guy because I think there's other people here. But
Oh yeah,
Appreciate you
I will
coming in.
say.
Good
I
talking to you,
will
man.
say, the last thing I will say is that the only way Sage Mode Jiraiya might win is if somehow Hade has trouble absorbing his Sage Mode. But that's it. It won't be because he's stronger, it'll be because of that.
yeah,
So
well, it's
that
kind
might
of
be the only possible
ambiguous
one.
whether he has it or not. Like Hashirama does. Not sure.
Yeah, because I don't think Jiraiya.
No,
like,
I was talking about Jiraiya, not
Oh,
Togurama.
Jiraiya? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something that we don't know. Yeah, how would that react?
Yeah,
I don't think
that'd be the
Jiraiya is
only
like.
possible way.
I don't think he's proficient at like mixing senjutsu with his own chakra supply. I think it's more the frogs that he summons on his shoulders. I think they're the ones more responsible for infusing senjutsu
Yeah.
with him. You know, so if he hits Jiraiya, I can see it being more susceptible that he can absorb his chakra. But if he hits the Toads, definitely not. He's just gonna turn to stone like Pain did. You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
he absorbed senjutsu. So that's
Yeah.
just my extrapolation of that, perhaps though.
Yeah, like what we do know with Jiraiya is the reason why he looks the way he looks, like the frog features and this and that, is because it's all about balance when it comes to nature energy. So if you're able to like have perfect balance, you're gonna look like Minato and Naruto. If you have a lot more of the nature energy, then you're gonna have more frog features or stuff like that. So basically, you look at like a pie chart. You know what I mean? So let's say Naruto's 50-50 with everything. Jiraiya is like 70 for nature, and then 50 for everything else. So like that's the main reason why he comes out the way he looks. And it's just really weird because like whether and how that would even work with the whole Samahara.
Yeah,
movement.
Samehada.
It is
Yeah.
interesting though.
But I appreciate you coming in, Jay. If no one else raises
Yeah.
their hand, we'll call you up again. So
Yeah, for
Appreciate
sure.
it, brother.
All right.
appreciate it.